Brownfields are abandoned, underutilized land in the city with perceived or real environmental concerns that have not been given a second look by the development community until now.
In many instances, what a person might think is an unresolvable problem or a hurdle that's too high is really something that we've dealt with before, and we can take care of it.
Basically, they're surprised at how easily it went. They're surprised also when you call them how you can pull everyone to the table and they can talk with everyone at one time.
I think we've learned that coming together and working with one another rather than against one another is the way to make things happen.
We can help them from an engineering and design standpoint to mitigate the cost in designing and constructing that site.
Since 1994, developers have announced $5.7 billion in private and public projects in the city of Detroit. Hundreds of projects, big and small, represent a commitment by investors to revitalize Detroit. The backbone of this effort is in place, including public commitment, financial backing, legal precedent, a solid infrastructure, and community desire. More and more, developers are finding Detroit's brownfields to be a major asset in providing new economic opportunities within the city. When the Detroit Community Health Connection realized it was time to move into a larger building on Detroit's east side, it selected a 1-acre site on East Jefferson for a new clinic. The proposed location had everything DCHC wanted. Good access, it was situated on a major thoroughfare, and it was very visible.
We've been here for about 9 years, and we was in a much smaller location, just 2.5 blocks away, very, very small. We had 4,200 square feet, and we were seeing over 6,000 patients, and you can imagine we had no space.
An obstacle to the development was the property's history, which posed some environmental concerns. An environmental consultant was brought in to conduct environmental site assessments. That investigation revealed the presence of at least 5 underground storage tanks and hazardous substances which may have contaminated the ground. DCHC had selected one of Detroit's brownfields for redevelopment.
That was a really a great project for everybody involved. I think everybody at the table was really interested in seeing that development go forward.
The reuse team was called to assist DCHC in resolving the issues that now existed in getting the property ready for redevelopment. Among other things, the group helps brownfield developers determine the most cost-effective ways of dealing with environmental problems. The reuse team, or the redevelopment of urban sites team, is an informal task force comprised of representatives of the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality and the City of Detroit, including various departments: law, planning and development, environmental affairs, the Department of Public Works, and the Detroit Water and Sewage Department, as well as the EPA Superfund Division and the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation.
DCHC wanted to develop within the city of Detroit. They were looking for a site. On the reuse team, we have the Planning and Development Department as well as the Environmental Affairs Department and some other departments in the city, the job being to facilitate the cleanup and development.
The reuse team took over, designating the DCHC's new site for action and helping to lead the cleanup.
The City of Detroit has certainly a pool of money that they use for redevelopment that, they're trying to attract people in. The state has a lot of different sources of funds.
Environmental remediation costs were kept to a minimum. Reuse team members were now ready to meet with Comerica Bank, the lender for the DCHC project.
Well, I think we consider that one of our core missions is to serve the communities in which we operate our businesses. Our success is tied to their success, and in consequence of that understanding, we have made a big commitment to be part of the revitalization of the city of Detroit.
In addition to the cost of the land and cleanup, DCHC invested about $1.88 million in the construction of the clinic. The new building opened in December of 1996 and is now fully operational. What was once a vacant parcel of land now is a major link in providing healthcare services in the city of Detroit. This manufacturing plant in southwest Detroit is another illustration of what can be developed on Brownfields. Perstorp Plastic Systems Incorporated, a multi-billion-dollar Swedish company, chose this site in Detroit's empowerment zone for its Midwest operations.
We are heavily involved with the automotive industries, and we were looking for a site in the Detroit area.
The company makes collapsible pallet containers for the material handling industry.
Perstorp looked at quite a few sites to build a facility here in the area. The economics that were proposed to us to come in here, put this up in the brownfield, be a part of rebuilding of Detroit was very key to the decision of taking this site.
Perstorp Plastic Systems was willing to invest $9.2 million in developing its Detroit manufacturing operation. But to make that location work, Perstorp Plastic Systems also needed to acquire an adjacent piece of land for parking and future expansion. This neighboring parcel was in desperate need of an environmental cleanup. From 1910 until 1995, the entire site had been occupied by several manufacturing facilities and a porcelain enameling company. This increased the potential for significant contamination. Perstorp Plastic System turned to Detroit Economic Development Corporation for help with purchasing the land and addressing environmental issues.
It was a little bit of a concern, but not very much, because we did get a lot of support from the city of Detroit. They're trying to encourage business within the empowerment zone, and to do that, they're doing whatever it takes to assist business in setting up in this location.
They were quite helpful. They basically provided us step-by-step instructions on how to remediate the site, how to get things cleaned up, and how to get it functioning to where we can have an ongoing plant.
Not only did Perstorp Plastic Systems invest more than $9 million to purchase, renovate, and equip its new Detroit operation, it also gave jobs to Detroiters.
My grandfather, my uncles, cousins, all have taken turns working on this site when it was Wolverine steel and porcelain.
An abandoned piece of land that was a blight on the neighborhood is now a major contributor to Detroit's renaissance, thanks to an investor who saw the opportunities and advantages in Detroit to redeveloping a brownfield property.
By the city, state, and the local people helping us, I think we really don't have any problems, and I think everything has just gone according to plan.
Detroit can certainly point with pride to these examples of successful brownfield redevelopment. However, the future of our city will depend upon continued sustainable development. And that, of course, requires leadership. In Detroit, that leadership comes from the top.
We've been very blessed to have the support from the state and from the federal government that will provide us the opportunity to tap into some funds that will help us clean up some of those areas so that we can then resell them and allow the land to be redeveloped. It's important to recognize, for example, that the job growth has been in small businesses that are from 4, 10 to 20 people. It's not always the big ticket items, and so we've been very, very conscientious in supporting and working with our small businesses.
Detroit has launched an all-out effort to assist potential brownfield developers to cut through the red tape.
We're working very closely with the city now. We've formed what we call the Detroit Reuse Team, which is a cooperative effort between the city and the state to try to make available to developers, and all the people they work with, people that are decision makers in the city and state government.
All the players necessary in one room, so they're not driving to Lansing, driving out to Livonia or somewhere else to meet with these parties, but they have everyone who can assist them from the environmental side to the development side, jointly working together on a cooperative basis.
And we're focusing our time and monies to help projects in the city of Detroit be successful.
One of, if not the most important component to any development effort is appropriate financing. That financing can come directly from a bank or other lending institution with the desire, commitment, and understanding of brownfield development.
You have a banking group that is willing to work with you in a very cooperative way to bring these projects to successful completion.
I think with the changes that exist now, that the future is terrific. In the last 2 years, since the amendments I referred to, there's been a $300 million investment in new enterprises on brownfields in the state of Michigan, with 3,400 jobs associated with those new businesses.
In 1994, when the city of Detroit was putting together its application for designation as a federal empowerment zone, a consortium of banks got together and collectively pledged to invest $1.1 billion of loans in the zone over the next 10 years should Detroit be successful in achieving the desired designation.
It's a win-win situation for Detroit Edison. In a brownfield development site, we have infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, I mean electricity. We have overhead lines, underground lines. Why send a client out to a suburban area or a green site when we have the infrastructure right there for them, and it's cheaper?
I look forward to the challenges ahead with more enthusiasm than I've ever had for any job I've had to do.
The greatest impact of any development, and brownfield development in particular, is on the community. As you've seen, successful brownfield development can become a vital part of a community's rebirth.
Detroit has a tremendous opportunity. There are many pieces of property available that can be redeveloped with little investment and really little cost in terms of cleanup.
It is no more evident than in the development of the Homes at St. Anne project.
Well, Bagley Housing started in 1989, and for the first several years it did a lot of planning and built one house actually through 1995.
When that project was originally proposed, it was going to be an experimental, let's do an industrial level of cleanup. And we said, oops, that's not acceptable.
For so long, plans have been afoot to do something like this. And as we said, well, we're going to do it this time, most sectors responded by saying, well, you're going to have to show us because we don't think it can be done. And so our first plan was to do 11 single-family houses as part of an overall 200-unit plan for the east side of the Hubbard-Richard neighborhood. The presence of the church in the neighborhood really has been the reason why the neighborhood has been able to survive and now is being restored to a real community, residential community.
Because we're pioneers. We're really pioneering an entirely different way of doing things. We're reusing fallow grounds, and we're, again, we're reestablishing an economic base and a healthy environmental, element to the community.
Everyone, the city, the community, the business, Detroit Edison, the developer, the owners, everyone wins. There is no loser in this. There is no loser.
If you've got a business and a good business plan, you got a good feasibility study, I defy you to come to the city of Detroit and not get the financing that you need. And I defy you to come to the city of Detroit and not get the cooperation that you need to build the facility that you want that will make you competitive anywhere globally.
The city of Detroit, its people, its neighborhoods, and its economy are all beneficiaries of brownfields development. To sustain this growth and achieve our vision of brownfield development, we need you to get involved in this exciting revitalization, and we want to help you. We have produced a handy, helpful, user-friendly handbook to guide you through your brownfield development project. It's called Detroit's Windows of Opportunity, turning brownfields into green. And it's available free by writing to the City of Detroit, Department of Environmental Affairs, 660 Woodward Avenue, Suite 1650, Detroit 48226, or by calling 313-237-3090. Remember, this guide to brownfield development is free and available to anyone interested in brownfield development in Detroit.